Here we are with the Hisense U8N. This is their brand new model for 2024. I don't think I've been this disappointed in a long time as far as first impressions. Now, full disclosure, I will continue to calibrate and follow the firmware to see if something changes. But basically, out the gate, it's a really flat TV with some of the worst calibration capabilities I have ever experienced in the history of television reviews, to the point where it just feels broken. Now, I won't just talk about that. I will show you some good points about it, but initially, I'm not impressed at all and extremely disappointed, at least, again, with the first impressions. So, to start off with what's really good about this TV, this demo, if you see it in a Hisense, loop, you see it any kind of marketing, anything Hisense related, this is where it's going to look the best. This demo is incredible, and it shows every ounce of what they did right this year. Blisteringly bright highlights, extraordinary black levels. Honestly, the best black levels I've ever seen on any mini LED TV ever. Like, period. Like, just damn. Contrast to die for. I mean, like, tons of detail. It's an entirely different experience from what I saw when I started using SDR content. Now, this is an HDR demo and they have it on loop. This HDR demo is immaculate. The post-processing, the editing is just amazing because it makes this TV look so much better than it does when you start actually using it. And I think that in and of itself is a big disappointment. I mean, you have every little ounce of fine detail, every ounce of control of highlights, colors, everything. And then, of course, they advertise the peak brightness up to 1800 nits. Now, I remember it being 3000 nits, up to 3000 nits, so I don't know what happened. Maybe that's for the larger models like the 55 and 70, or rather the 65 and 75. But either way, this particular model is only up to 1800 nits, not the 3000 nits that we heard of. And then on top of that, it just really, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, is disappointing to see. Like, the picture here looks fantastic. There's no issues. I don't really want for more color. And I mean, like, literally everything is like spot on. It's not flat at all. It's very three-dimensional. It's one of the best HDR demos I think I've ever seen is coming off of this one right here. And then when you actually start to use it, that's when you start to notice things start falling apart. When you start using actual content, you're gonna notice that the faded look of the Hisense U8N is just unlike anything I think I've literally ever seen. Now, to put it in perspective for you, this is after I've tried to create settings for it. I didn't just whip it out of the box and say, this is what it is. It's even worse out of the box. And I'm just blown away by just how little color there is, but more importantly, how little contrast there is. And the blacks, again, appear very like hazy and gray inconsistently. It is the weirdest thing. Things just look flat. We go to this example here. You can kind of see, like, now it looks a little bit better, but not a whole lot. It picks and chooses. And I feel like this is like almost like a detriment. Maybe it's their new way of processing with this chipset that needs to be refined. But I'm not gonna lie, this TV feels like a beta. It feels like not even a beta, like an alpha version of a television because of how wonky it looks. Now, don't get me wrong, the black levels are the best I have ever seen on any mini LED TV, period. Like, if you're after black levels, this thing is it, period. Like, period. Fantastic, right? I could go on all day. And I can show you an example, by the way, that would blow your mind of this thing, the Hisense U8N, having deeper black levels than the Samsung S95D. Like, it surpassed OLED as far as black level control. I don't know how the hell they did it. It's that, right? But then it's like, how do you get everything else wrong as far as contrast? Like, you have the black levels, you have the brightness, but you botch it? Like, look at this scene. It is so disgustingly flat. Like, I don't even want to watch this TV. Just being 100% honest with you. Like, I don't want to watch it. It's ugly, right? Your colors, like your orange is like this, like, really off color. It's almost like it's almost closer to like a magenta reddish color. Like it's weird. It's a weird looking shade of orange. It's a very ugly shade of orange. Pale, washed, and faded. I don't know what the direction was. And it bugs me because I see the potential in this TV, and not every example is bad. Like in this one, for example, blacks now look deep, colors are rich. However, you have to sacrifice a great deal of brightness to pull this off. Otherwise, if you want the full stretch of the brightness, it's going to be like wonky as hell. And I mean wonky as hell. This TV also struggles immensely from posterization, to which like it looks broken sometimes. Like, I mean, there's clearly got to be something going on with software. I'm not going to make excuses for them. It needs to have been buttoned up day one, so we're going to talk about whatever we see when we see it. Now, in this example, it doesn't show itself, but when you get to some near black scenes, it will show itself pretty prominently, and you'll look at it like, what in the hell am I even looking at? That's how bad it gets sometimes. Again, especially once you start comparing it to other TVs, you are going to notice that posterization. You just are. It doesn't mean that this TV is ugly or the worst I've ever seen. I don't want you to hear any of this and think, oh my God, it's the worst ever. No, but out of the box, it's got a picture on it that's pretty ugly. The calibration process is terrible. One of the worst ever, okay? I'm not joking. Like, this TV requires so much work. I'm going to show you what this TV looks like and like all the other modes. It's bad. Like, I don't think I've had a TV this difficult to adjust and calibrate for in a very long time. So standard mode is where I have my settings, okay? Look at what the TV looks like when you don't use my settings. I'm going to run it back so that we can show like an example of a face. Let's go like Craven's face here, right? And just look at how bad the picture's about to get, okay? Sports mode, very blue. And it's like way oversaturated with the blue. Blue is just way overjuiced, right? And then you've got the PC game mode. It's super washed. I mean, super washed. And then you have energy savings mode. More of the same thing. You're running into all these issues. Theater day, a little bit better, but then I kind of applied settings to theater day, so that's not really a fair one-to-one. Then you have theater night, which is what it actually looks like washed. And then, of course, filmmaker mode, which, again, washed. I mean, the TV does not hold up very well as far as giving you beautiful color. Now, if we go back to those prior examples that I was talking about, I mean, just take a look at something like this, okay? This is your takeaway. When you get to real content, look at how ugly the orange is. The picture's flat. It's ugly. You go to theater night, more of the same. Theater day, as I mentioned, I tried to put some settings in there, but again, didn't finish them. And then we've got energy savings mode, just really blue. It's a blue filter. And that's the theme with this TV too. It runs very cold. PC game mode, again, very blue, very cold. Sports mode, it's an iceberg with how blue it gets. And then standard, which is what I created. And it still looks flat, and it's still not fantastic compared to what the TV came from. But, I mean, well, comparatively to where it came from, I mean, I guess, yeah, that looks way better, like day and night. It's a whole different TV. But it's also disappointing because I expected more from this TV. I really did. Again, I'm calibrating this thing around the clock, and I will give it its absolute best chance before we do the comparison against the various TVs that we will, the S90D, S95D, so on and so forth. However, the point being is that I'm very disappointed. I won't lie. It's a really flat image, and I wasn't expecting that, given the demo that Hisense showed off that had every bit of the granularity that I was looking for. The black levels, again, best I've ever seen on any mini LED, period. It is like a king of kings for black levels. There is like zero blooming of any kind. They've done it. Motion, by the way, is wonderful. They fixed the crap ass motion from last year. Wonderful. They give you like a nice little HDR feature, but it's kind of useless. It doesn't really do anything, like turning SDR into HDR. I wish every manufacturer would do that. That would be great. But either way, I mean, it has some serious problems with posterization and some serious problems with being flat. And again, you've got to really know how to calibrate TVs in and out with the Hisense U8N particularly, because out of the box, you are not going to like what you see. I promise you that. Like, it's that damn bad out of the box. Like, I think it's honestly like one of the worst I've ever seen out of the box. Like, what the hell? Now, again, I've calibrated it to a point where it's bearable, but even this, you'll see what I mean. Like, once it starts going up against the S95D, you're going to see every little bit of the flaws that I saw, because, yes, I have it next to me right now, and I've already done that comparison, and I've already seen it for myself, and, man, it's just, I mean, granted, you're going up against a flagship top-of-the-line model. Okay, I get it, and it's an OLED, which kind of doesn't matter since the black levels this year are OLED level, okay, more or less. But either way, this was a hard one. So for first impressions, day one, I am extremely disappointed because I feel like they've botched it with the software to where the image is just pretty much always flat. And to get around that, you have to sacrifice an immense amount of brightness if you want anywhere near accurate color. Otherwise, everything's just really, really damn blue. That's really the... I don't know why all the manufacturers are doing it this way. I know D65 white is relatively cool on the color temperature scale opposed to something like, let's say, 4500 Kelvin. I know that that's more towards a tungsten light. However, blue is ugly. That is where you start running into dead skin tones and things like that. And every manufacturer does it every year. And I'm promising you, you pick this TV up, you're going to be disappointed. Like I expected so much more than this. And I am not going to lie, I'm let down. Now, again, hopefully, through the course of HDR settings and adjustments and different sources that I'm going to run and all the tests that entail a review, because, again, this is not a review. This is just me, like, kind of just shooting the shit with you and just telling you what I saw and my first impression of this thing to see, like, if there is a transformation down the road, this is where we're coming from day one. And it's not great. So I'm going to get to work on this thing, and I'm really going to do my best to work around the clock to make sure it's buttoned up and looks fantastic. I'm going to be losing a lot of sleep, missing a lot of time with my family, and trying my hardest to give this TV some sort of fighting chance, because right now it needs some help. But that being said, I want to know what you guys think about this TV, even as it is right now. Do you think the image on the screen looks absolutely fantastic and I'm crazy? There's nothing that it could possibly need to change? Or do you think that, yeah, maybe there's some room for improvement? Either way, I'm excited to get started fully. So let me know what you want to see on this bad boy. And thanks so much for watching the #1 brand in honesty. This is the first impression of the Hisense U8N. Until the next video, I'll see you guys later.